Hey guys, so I've got the iPhone 15 Pro Max with me in black titanium, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a quick unboxing of the new iPhone just to give my initial impressions of it. So yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into it. Okay, so we've got the iPhone 15 Pro Max box here. As you can see, I've gone for the space black, or not the space black, the black titanium they're calling it now, in 256 gigabytes of storage. As you can see, it's a standard iPhone box. To be honest, Apple hasn't really changed the iPhone box recently, so, it's going to be pretty standard. So to open this, we're just going to pull the sticker off. This is the one thing I like about Apple products, is they make the unboxings just feel so nice. I remember when I unboxed the Studio Display, that has to be one of the best unboxings I've done in my entire life. But yeah, ooh. So we've got the iPhone here. Like every YouTuber, I'm going to quickly put this to the side just so we can see what else we get in the box. So we've got our usual design by Apple in California. We've got our SIM card pin as well, because in the UK we are still using physical SIM cards, unlike the US where it's eSIM only. Got our Apple stickers as well. Oh, we only get one sticker now. I swear it used to be two. Oh, okay. Oh, and here's the big one. We've got our USB-C cable, which is actually braided. So that's a nice touch that Apple made. But yeah, by far the biggest feature probably with the new iPhone 15 series is USB-C. Which is quite ironic given that it's a feature which was kind of forced on by Apple by the European Union. So it's quite ironic how the headline feature of the iPhone 15 was the EU's doing. Because I feel like without it, this would have been a pretty boring update. But yeah, the nice thing about these cables is that they are braided, so they should feel more premium and they should be more durable as well. So they'll last longer, you'll need to replace them less often, which should save you money in the long run. But yeah, look at that, a USB-C to USB-C cable. I don't know why I'm getting so excited by a cable, but yeah. Anyway, we'll put the box to the side and the cable to the side. Now let's take a look at the iPhone 15. Oh, that looks good. So I think the first thing I'm noticing is just how much easier this is to hold in the hand. So if I get my iPhone 14 Pro, if you take a look at here, obviously the first thing you can tell is they're different colors. I've gone with the black titanium model this year as opposed to white, just because I've gotten a bit bored of white. I just think black looks a bit more stealthier. I would have gone for the natural titanium color, but they were all sold out. But yeah, if we just take a look at these things, you can tell that the stainless steel edges on the iPhone 14 Pro have been replaced with these new titanium edges on the 15 Pro Max. And I can already see that the sides of the 15 Pro Max are smudging a little bit. It's not as bad as the 14 Pro, but yeah, I guess you are still going to get smudges on the 15 Pro Max, just to a smaller degree than the older phones. But yeah, the main difference I'm noticing is, one, how much lighter this feels and how much nicer it is to hold in the hand. Because we've got sharp corners on the 14 Pro here, and if you're using this caseless, like an entire year like I did, you can get a bit fed up of it after a while. Whereas this just feels extremely smooth, but at the same time you're retaining that rectangular design. And this thing feels so much lighter as well. In fact, I would go as far to say that this thing feels just as light as my 14 Pro. Maybe not slightly lighter, but definitely is just a similar weight. The size difference doesn't feel as bad as I thought it would. But yeah, I'm just loving this new black titanium color. Yeah, it just feels so light. Okay, so now that we've taken a quick look at this, let's set up the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So we'll just hold on to the side button. And we've got the usual Apple setup. Yeah, I know what I'm definitely noticing, the bezels are definitely smaller on this. Like, the display just feels so much more expansive. I don't know if that's a function of using a Pro Max phone instead of a Pro. But yeah, if I'm comparing these two things side by side, I don't know, on camera it might look like a small difference, but in real life, it's just thinks it feels so much more immersive. I think the bezels are also slightly rounded as well. It kind of reminds me a bit of the Apple Watch Series 7, where the bezels sort of curve on the edge. You're kind of getting a similar, albeit not identical, effect on the 15 Pro Max. But yeah, I am starting to see smudges here already, which is a bit disappointing. This thing is updating. One thing I am noticing compared to the 14 Pro is that the screen on this 15 Pro Max seems to be much more prone to catching dust. I don't know if that's because of the way that Apple have coated the glass screen or because of the color. But yeah, if you compare these two phones side by side, I've only had the 15 Pro Max out of the box for what, 5 minutes, and we've already got loads of dust particles accumulating here. Whereas my 14 Pro is almost spotless. So that does concern me slightly. So we have the iPhone set up now, and you can see here, okay, so one new feature they're touting is the new silent mode in Control Center. So for those of you who don't know, Apple have replaced the mute switch on the old iPhones with a custom-made action button. So I guess because of that, that means that they're able to include a silent button in Control Center that syncs with the software, a bit like your iPad. Whereas if you did that on an iPhone 14 Pro, you know, you'd have issues with syncing your Control Center with the actual hardware button itself. But this is all running through software. And you can see here, action button. So they're telling us to customize this. So I reckon I'm going to map this to a shortcut of sorts. So yeah, let's just go through the different options. So you've got silent mode. You can choose different focus modes. You've got the camera as well, and you can choose it to have different camera settings. So if you want to go straight into a video or a portrait selfie. Personally, I always think this is a bit redundant because there are so many ways you can access the camera on a normal iPhone. Like you can just swipe right, or you can just press the camera button here, or you can go into Control Center. And I don't have camera in here, but you can add it in. But yeah, I guess I know a lot of YouTubers have been mapping the action button to the camera. I just think it's a bit useless. Torch as well, again, you've got this on the main home screen, so I don't know why you'd want to map this to that. Voice memo could be useful, but personally I'm going to map it to a shortcut, and let's see, I think I'm going to map it to a new note, just because I am someone who takes notes, like quick notes on my iPhone quite a lot, just when something comes to my mind. But yeah, okay, so we've got everything downloading here. Let's check out the wallpaper as well. One thing I am noticing is that this thing isn't so bad when you're holding it in the hand. I thought that the size difference between the 14 Pro and the 15 Pro Max would be quite substantial. But maybe I've just got big hands, but yeah, I could easily hold this in one hand, tap the dynamic island. I know some people have been complaining that on the 15 Pro Max it's quite hard to reach the action button. And personally, I don't think it is that difficult. Again, maybe I've just got larger hands. I guess one solution is rather than using your thumb, you could just use your first finger to tap it, if you want, but yeah. Okay, so you've got to hold the action button in order to activate it. What do you want the note to say? New note. Obviously, I am going to try and use this thing caseless where possible, but just in case you wanted to see how this looks with the new fine woven cases, if I just place that in like so. Okay, we did not get the MagSafe ring to show it's been activated, but oh well. And yeah, this is what it looks like. I'm definitely going to be returning this fine woven case because it just feels incredibly cheap. I reckon I'm going to replace this with one of these silicone cases. I'm going to go with the clay one just because that has a kind of natural titanium-esque colour. So if you're somebody who wanted the natural titanium but couldn't get it, I would recommend you go with the clay silicone case. But yeah, no, this fine woven case, I'm just not a fan of it. For £59 as well, like, that's just a rip-off. I wouldn't be paying more than 25 quid for this thing. if I'm being totally honest. Especially because a lot of people have been reporting that if you scratch the case, the marks actually don't come off. Whereas with leather, I mean, yeah, you get scratches, but because it's an organic material, it kind of patinas over time and self-repairs. But yeah, those are my initial impressions of the new iPhone 15 Pro Max. Let me know in the comments down below, do you think this is a substantial upgrade? I think it is. I think we're getting a fair number of upgrades here, like the new 5x telephoto lens, which I forgot to mention, but that's a new feature. We've got USB-C, the titanium redesign, the new action button, and plus a bunch of other smaller features, which Apple didn't mention, which I'll be making a separate video on very shortly. But yeah, if you found this video useful, hit the like button. As always, if you want to see more content like this in the future, hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.